So, ready for yoga. Um, Hopefully, wherever you are, it's not too terribly cold. I'm not sure if you're in the movement studio or maybe in the comfort of your warm, cozy home. But if you're chilly, start with a couple extra layers on because we're going to start laying down today. So maybe you've got your socks on, maybe you've got long sleeves on if you need it, and then you can peel those off as you get warm. So let's go ahead and lay back on our mats to start. Make yourself comfortable. If you want, you could always bring a block underneath your knees. You could always just bend your knees and put your feet down on the mat. Make yourself comfortable. Once you're cozy and comfortable, let's bring awareness to our breathing. Mouth is closed. Let's inhale and exhale through the nose. Trying to deepen our breath, trying to slow it down. Let's take our hands and we're going to place them on top of our abdomen. Let's have our middle fingers meet each other right over the top of our belly button. So now as we take a great big inhale, filling the chest, filling the abdomen, the belly with air, those fingertips should move apart. And then as we do that slow exhale, those fingertips slowly move back together to touch. Let's do one more deep, slow breath like that. And then after that last one, let's inhale as we take those arms overhead. A great big lengthen, great big stretch, reaching both ways. And then on that exhale, just let everything release and relax. So inhale, big stretch, lengthen. Exhale and release. Let's do a couple more like that. And now just one side. Reach just through the right hand and the right toes. Leave the left side relaxed. And then switch. So inhale and reach through the left hand, the left toes. Exhale and relax. Let's do it like that. One more on each side. Stretching and reaching with the right. And then one more on the left. All right, let's bring arms out like a T at our sides, and we're gonna bend those knees, feet down on the mat. Let's take an inhale while the knees are in the center, and we're gonna exhale and drop both knees over to the right, letting that left hip roll up. Inhale, bringing knees to center. Exhaling, knees to the left. Side to side with the breath. Let's do one more on each side. Let's meet back in the center, and now let's pick the feet up off the mat, bringing those knees to about 90-degree bend. Let's make sure those abs are engaged. Take your inhale, and then as you exhale, slowly lowering those knees over to the side. We're going to leave them over there. So if you need a block underneath your knees, that can be an option. Maybe you want to take your right hand and pull down on that left knee to bring yourself a little further into the twist. But listen to your body. We want to try to keep that left shoulder, the back of that shoulder, in contact with the mat. Breathing here through this spinal twist. Nice deep cleansing breaths. On your next inhale, let's bring those knees back up to center. And then we'll exhale, knees slowly over to the left, leaving them over there, maybe having a block underneath those knees if you need it. The left hand can weight that right knee, trying to leave the right shoulder down on the mat. Nice deep breaths. On your next inhale, let's bring those knees back up to center. And then let's exhale. Let's bring those feet down to the mat. We're going to do a little bit of bridge. So check that you have about the size of your fist in between those knees. Arms are going to start long by your sides. We're going to tip that tailbone up as we inhale, coming to the top of our bridge. And then as we exhale, lowering down one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Inhaling on the way up. Exhaling on the way down. Those knees stay that same fist distance apart all the way through this movement. feet up at the top on this next one. An option to roll those shoulders in toward each other to see if we can clasp those hands underneath. Same fist distance between those knees. So we're activating the core, the abs are helping here, the glutes to help keep the hips lifted. Feeling the weight in the heels. Good breathing. On your next inhale, you can release those hands and shoulders and exhaling back down to the mat. A short rest. We'll go up one more time. So coming up to the top of that bridge, option to roll those shoulders in and clasp the hands. You can stay here with both feet down with that fist distance in between the knees, or an option to go into a single leg bridge by raising one leg straight up in the air. Your choice, you can leave both feet down or try the one leg. Let's switch those legs out if you're using one, or if you're lifting one, I should say. Let's put both feet down. Choices here. You could stay in this bridge. You could grab a block if you have one nearby and come into a supported bridge here on the block, choosing whichever level of the block feels the best. Or you could do a supported bridge by bringing your hands underneath the small of your back. That does give you more of a back bend, so listen to your body, choosing the one that feels best to you. And from this final bridge, we're going to transition to a shoulder stand. So you can transition from bridge, you can kick one leg up and then the other to come up into a half shoulder stand. Or you can go release all the way down and roll up from the bottom by lifting the hips and pressing up. Gaze is up at those big toes up above you. Abs are pulled in to help with your balance and stability. This is a good inversion posture where we have the feet up in the air, up above the heart. Good for the vascular system in the legs. You can stay right here in this half shoulder stand, or if you want, you can walk those hands further up the back, lifting those legs to more straight up and down to find a full shoulder stand. Gaze is still up at the big toes. If you're up in full, let's go ahead and drop back down to half. Once you're in half, we're going to bend those knees, bringing the toes to point up toward the ceiling. And you can let the knees hover above your eyes or forehead. They can be several inches or a couple inches above, or maybe, depending on how the flexibility in your spine is, you can rest the knees on top of your forehead, but only if that feels comfortable. And from here, we're going to then release the hands down, arms down, flat to the mat, and we're going to roll down one vertebrae at a time. Let's hug those knees in, and we'll take our little side to side rock. Let's release one arm above our head so we can roll onto that side. And let's meet in child's pose, extended child's pose, with those arms reaching out in front. Forehead resting on the mat if that's comfortable. Reaching out through those fingertips, pulling the forearms up off your mat. And we're going to add movement. So let's inhale as we rock forward, finding a kneeling plank, and let's exhale as we stretch back. Find that nice strong core, abs zipped in as you come into this kneeling plank. And when you're ready, we're going to lower down and then press up and stretch back. Keeping those elbows in tight by our sides. Sending the elbows back toward the back of the room. Let's do two more, and then we'll meet back in our extended child's pose. Let's turn that into our half series vinyasa. Inhaling as we come out, exhaling as we lower, inhaling cobra, and exhaling as we press back. Let's do three more like that. Meeting back in our extended child's pose. Let's go ahead and tuck those toes under and find our way to our first downward facing dog. Let's walk those feet. So soft knees pressing through one heel and then the other to help warm up, loosen up the calves and the Achilles. Okay, let's find our downward facing dog, tipping that tailbone up nice and high, like you're pushing your mat away from you toward the front of the room with those hands. And now let's go back and forth, finding a nice full, strong plank, and then sending that tailbone up high for downward facing dog. Let's meet back in downward facing dog. And turning this into our vinyasa. Inhaling full plank, option to put those knees down. Exhale as we lower. Inhaling into cobra, or you can move to upward facing dog. Exhaling back to down dog. Let's do that 3 more times. Meeting back in down dog. Let's soften those knees and we'll walk those feet up toward the hands. You can grab your block if you want to bring the floor up a little closer. Softness in the knees. We're going to walk the feet again, lifting one heel as we press down through the other. All right, let's release all the way down into an easy forward fold. So lots of softness in the knees, resting the torso on top of the quads, releasing the head, the neck, the arms, the shoulders, letting everything hang. On your next inhale, let's come up half lift, flattening out that spine. Exhale, rounding back to forward fold. Inhale, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale and release. Option to have the arms out by your sides, or those hands can stay on your legs. Your choice. Let's do one more half lift, and then we'll meet back in that easy forward fold. on that next inhale, let's sweep it all the way up to the top. And let's exhale as we swan dive. Inhaling up. Exhaling on the way down. Let's do one more swan dive. Let's come on up and let's exhale as we come into our chair pose. Remember to have an inch or two in between the knees. Feel the weight back in the heels. Your hands can be at heart center or you can extend those arms out. Your choice. Let's flow our chair. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale as we sit back. Let's bring our next chair down low, holding here again, bringing hands to heart center. Option to stay with weight in the heels or to try that balancing chair, lifting onto the balls, the feet, and the toes. Let's come all the way up. Grab a sip of water if you want. Not sure if you guys could hear it just a minute ago, but I've got my sliding glass door open, which is actually almost right behind the camera. It is pouring here. It was raining so hard just a minute ago. It's still raining, just not quite as hard. I have a feeling it may be that same system that's giving you guys snow is causing rain down here. If that makes you feel any better. Okay, so let's run through our sun salutations. Let's start in our good mountain pose at the top of our mat. So really ground those feet. Spreading the toes. Zipping the abs up and in. Let's roll those shoulders back and down. Reach through those fingertips, pulling those shoulders away from the ears. That chest stays lifted. Lift through the crown of the head. Find your good breathing. On your next inhale, let's sweep those arms up. And let's exhale, swan diving down. Hands come down to the mat. We're going to take the right knee back, and then the left knee follows, finding that extended child's pose. Let's move through one vinyasa, And we'll meet back in extended child's pose. We're going to step just the right foot to the top of the mat. I want to do a little hip flexor stretch here. We're going to do some hip work after we're done with our sun salutation. So I want to make sure we're ready for that. We're going to work on some pigeon in a little bit. So as you hold this modified lunge, you can think about pressing your hips forward to maybe feel more stretch here in that hip flexor. Think about dropping your hips down. We want this right ankle stacked under the right knee. Option to sweep those hands up or leave them down. We're going to bring those hands right back down, and we're going to step that left foot up to meet the right. Let's inhale, half lift. Let's exhale, forward fold. Let's inhale, sweeping up. Exhaling as we sit back and find our chair. Inhaling up. Let's swan dive back down. Hands down, and we'll go back with the left knee first. The right knee follows. Finding extended child's pose. Let's do one vinyasa. Meeting in extended child's pose. And then bringing just the left foot to the top of our mat, checking that left ankle stacked under the left knee. Try to let the hips release down. If you want to feel more sensation in that hip flexor, pressing the hips slightly forward or scooting that back knee back a little bit to feel more sensation there also. Option for a quick sweep up with those arms or leave those hands down. Hands come back down, and we're going to bring that right foot up to meet the left. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling up. Let's swan dive back down. Soft knees, hands down. Let's step back with the right foot, then the left to find our downward facing dog. Moving through one vinyasa. Option to put those knees down if you'd like. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Option to drop into child's, to stay here in down dog, or to sweep that right leg up for a three-legged dog. And then let's step or sweep this right foot to the top of our mat, making sure we've got right ankle stacked under the right knee. If you need to, you can always lower that back knee down again. Remember to try to let the hips drop down low here. Keep the chest and chin lifted. You can stay right here, leave the hands on the floor, or you can join me for a quick sweep up. And we'll bring those hands back down. We're going to bring that left foot up to meet the right. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling up. And one more time through. Swan diving. Left foot leads us back for downward facing dog. One vinyasa. Option to stay here, drop into child's pose, or extend and raise the left leg for a three-legged dog. let's step or sweep the left foot up to the top of our mat, finding our lunge. Remember, you can still drop that back knee down if you need to. Remember, try to let the hips lower down, keep the chest and chin lifted, looking up toward the front of the room. You can stay right here with hands down, or you can join me for a quick sweep up. And we'll bring those hands back down. Right foot comes up to meet the left. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling as we sweep up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling up. Palms come together. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling and exhaling. Grab a sip of water if you want. Okay, quick balance pose before we transition to some pigeon work. So we opened up those hip flexors a little bit just now during that sun salutation. So we're going to do a little bit of dancer. So we're going to open up one hand to the side of the room, and we're going to reach back and grab the inside of the ankle for dancer. Let that knee hang right underneath the hip. You've got this shoulder here is externally rotated, and you can stay right here. You could even do a hand against a wall if you needed to. If you want, you can start to pull that leg behind you and reach out with that front arm, or that hand could stay holding against a wall somewhere. Bringing your gaze to one thing, one focus point to try to help your balance. And when you're ready, try to release super slow. Try to come out of it the same way you went in, taking your time. Shake out that base leg. And we'll do the other side. So other hand opens out to the side of the room. Open that hand up. And then reach and grab the inside of that ankle, right where you tie those shoelaces. And then let that knee move to hang right underneath the hip. You can be here. This can be your balance work. Be tall, be zipped in. Maybe a hand against a wall if you need it. That's totally fine. Because you can work with hand, and then you can come away and maybe it's just a fingertip on the wall, and then eventually you're on your own. If you want, you can lift that leg behind you. That other hand can come out. Remember, when you're ready to release, see how slow you can go. Trying to come out of it just the opposite way you went in. And shake out those legs. Okay, so we're going to transition to the floor, but we'll do it together because we're going to move from down dog into pigeon. So let's inhale up, and let's exhale as we swan dive. Let's step back and find downward facing dog. And now just our right knee comes up, and we want to connect that knee with the outside of our wrist. So the outside of the right wrist and the right knee touching at the moment. You can then position this foot further back or further up toward the top of your mat to make it, to give yourself more sensation, to make it a little more difficult. Listen to your body. Your left leg, let's take it super long behind you. Reach through those left toes, and then try to move those hands back and find some good upright posture. If you have a block, you could always bring a block in to help lift you up. You could always bring a block underneath this hip if you need to stay lifted up. If you have cranky knees, sometimes putting that block underneath that hip can help give that knee a little relief. Trying to stay in the center of it. It's real easy to let the body shift over to one side and take a rest. See if you can hang out in the middle, right in the center of it. Good breathing. That breathing will help you relax into the pose. We're going to put those hands back in their position for our downward facing dog. Let's tuck those left toes under. We're going to lift the hips and send that right foot back for down dog. Let's move to the other side. Left knee comes to the outside of that left wrist. You can adjust this foot. Let's slide that right leg back really long. Find your good posture, maybe using a block here in front or under the hip. Trying to stay nice and upright and in the middle of this. Good breathing. And then those hands come back to their position for downward facing dog. Right toes tuck under. Let's lift that tailbone and step back. Let's switch it back to the right knee up. Let's find our good pigeon. Get comfortable, get that back leg nice and long. I want to give you a couple of options here. You can try a balancing pigeon by lifting those arms up. They could be arms out to the side. You could even do hands heart center. That may not be for you. That may hurt your lower back, or it may be too intense on that hip. Once you pick the hands up, gravity pulls down through the hips, and so that can intensify that. It may be too much. So listen to your body. Another option, if you don't want to do that, is to do king pigeon, where we bend the back knee and try to bring that back foot in closer to us, and maybe you're just pulling it in, or maybe you're going to turn and reach back and grab that foot with that hand. So let's bring hands back to their position for down dog. Let's find our way back to down dog. And we'll do the other side. Left knee comes up. Find your good pigeon. Be tall. You've got those same choices. You could do hands at heart center. You could do arms out. You could do king pigeon and pull that back foot in. Find your happy place here. Maybe you just stick with pigeon. That's totally fine. Let's bring hands back to their spot for down dog. We'll find our way back there. And now now that right knee comes up again. Again, take your time to find the pigeon that's right for you, leg long behind you. And choices again. You can walk those hands out and just come down to your elbows. You could bring the block in if you have it, and maybe bringing the forehead down to the block. Or you could come all the way down, maybe stacking one hand on top of the other and resting down on top of the hands. Get comfortable. Work with the breathing so that you can release and relax into this resting pigeon. All right, let's slowly find our way back up. Hands back to their spot for down dog. Finding your way to down dog. And last time, left knee comes up. Find that good positioning for pigeon. And when you're ready, finding that spot either on the elbows or using the block where you can find a good resting pigeon. Let's slowly find our way back up. Walk those hands back up to their spot. Let's find our way back to downward facing dog. And let's drop down to those knees. And we're going to have a seat. We'll start with our stick man, our staff pose. Checking in with that posture real quick. We're gonna do one more good stretch for those hips since we've got them pretty open right now. We're gonna do our little double pigeon, but let's check in with our posture here first. Sitting nice and tall, rolling those shoulders back and down. Hands can be alongside or in your lap. Remember that little tip I gave you that you can kind of reach back and scoot the meat back so that you're sitting more on the sit bones. That may feel a tiny bit easier. All right. We're going to scoot up closer to the front of our mat for this double pigeon. We're going to take our right shin and kind of line it up parallel with the top edge of the mat. Foot is flexed. That helps protect our knees in this posture. And then we're gonna stack our left shin on top of that right shin. Both feet are flexed to help protect the knees. It is very normal to have this space over here between this foot and this knee. And that's what you can kind of wiggle around and work with a little bit. You may be able to lessen that space, or if those hips are still feeling tight, that space may still look like this. Everybody is different. Whichever way you are, let's be tall. So that really good posture is very important here. Feet staying flexed. You can stay right here. This may be more than enough sensation. If you feel like you want a little bit more, you can try hinging at the waist. So we don't want to slouch. We don't want to round the back. We want to keep the back nice and flat and hinge forward. So if you have a block, that may be helpful here. You could hinge forward slightly and maybe rest the forearms or elbows on the block. You could take the block down lower. You can kind of test and see where your limit is, how far you can release. How tight or how open those hips may feel. Every day can be different. Sometimes it depends on what you did the day before. Breathing. And let's come back up, nice and tall. And we've got to switch out these legs. Do it on both sides. So line up that left shin parallel with the top edge of your mat. Foot is flexed, and we'll try stacking that right shin on top of the left. And again, it's normal to have this space here. Those hips being tight are what causes that. But you can kind of wiggle around a little bit to maybe eliminate some of that. If it's real high up there and you don't feel any sensation because it's up there so high, you could always gently, very gently, maybe press down slightly to try to help open that hip up a little bit. Listen to your body though. Know the difference between a little discomfort and pain. We don't want to go to pain because we don't want to hurt ourselves. Okay, so you can stay right here, staying tall with a good posture, or you can maybe try hinging forward. Keep that flat, long spine. Don't slouch, don't round. Maybe you bring a block in. And let's come on back up. You can unfold those legs, and we're going to find our way down to our Shavasana. So you may want to add socks back on. You may want to put a layer back on, because chances are you will get cold quickly. You may want to turn off your lights. You may want to pull out some lavender. But when you're ready, finding your way down, find that comfortable position. Remember, you can always have a block underneath the knees, or you can always leave those knees bent with the feet down on the mat. You want to be comfortable so that you can relax. and receive the benefits of our practice today. So letting the entire body from top to bottom release and relax. Relax the toes, the feet. Relax the ankles so that those feet drop out to the sides. Relax the calves, soften the knees. Relax the quads and hips. Maybe feeling that openness we created in the hips with those pigeons today. Relax the chest and abdomen. Allow those shoulders to roll back against the mat. And check in with that nice, deep, slow breathing again. Soften the elbows. Relax the hands, palms turned up. Relax the fingers. Relax the throat. Maybe swallow once or twice. Relax the face. Releasing the jaw. Softening the eyes. Releasing any tension in the forehead. Letting everything relax. Slowly drawing that awareness back, wiggling the fingers and toes. Let's slide one foot in and then the other to hug those knees into the chest. Maybe that little side to side rock. Let's release one arm above our head and we'll roll onto that side. And coming up slowly, safely. Let's meet in cross-legged. Sitting up nice and tall. Let's either clasp hands behind us or reach for the opposite elbows, hinging forward. Finding Yoga Mudra. Sealing in all the benefits of our practice today. Releasing slowly. Let's inhale, sweeping up. And let's exhale, bringing hands to heart center. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe in that crazy weather there. And I'll see you next week. Namaste.